Hello guys, this is your friend and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto build harem with Kushina fem Kyuubi and fem Shinigami part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Naruto was running from them. They were running to him. Stop. They called. Naruto knew from 6 years of experience if he stopped he would die, or be brutally maimed. He turned a corner and was met with a dead end. The people caught up with him, and raised their fists and weapons. This is for my son. Some shouted, "Demon brat die." Others shouted. Then they all moved in on him. The last thing Naruto remembered before blacking out was the feeling of his skin being torn from his body slowly. The Hokage was pissed when he found Naruto. Whole chunks of Naruto's skin was removed to show his muscles, in places knives were embedded in places otherwise not meant for blades. He was bleeding profusely. The Hokage with a flick of his wrist called down the Anbu to deliver their punishment. One Anbu, Snake as she was called, walked to Naruto and gently lifted him. "Snake, come with me," the Hokage said and jumped towards the hospital. Snake followed him closely. "Please be okay, Naruto." The Hokage thought, "I shouldn't have left to go get dinner. When I see dog I'm so killing him." Snake thought. Naruto opened his eyes. He was in some giant room with water leaking everywhere, and giant bars in front of him. There was a strange noise coming from inside the bars, it sounded like crying. Naruto approached the bars. "PP, please let me out." A voice soft and melodious rang out. "How?" Naruto called back. "Who's there? No one should be able to visit me here." The voice came once more. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto responded. Suddenly a person came walking closer to the bars. She looked 18 and had long red hair. Her hair just ended right above her small butt. She had long legs. Her chest was not overly large. She was probably around C-cup. She wore a red kimono. Her eyes, while slitted slightly, were a vibrant red. "Who are you, pretty lady?" Naruto said. The girl blushed. "I'm called by many names, you humans have given me most of them. Names like Kyuubi, Demon, Plague of the Earth, and Fox Lord." Kyuubi. Isn't that the demon the fourth killed after it attacked Konoha? Naruto said he had remember his Gigi telling him that story. The girl laughed. "The fourth killed me." "No, he couldn't. He had only one choice, to seal me away in some baby. Which I would assume would be you. That's the only way you, a person with no bloodline, could come in here. So you're why they attack me. Listen, it hurts me to say that it is true, I am why they hurt you. If this damn seal wasn't here you'd be fine, not injured and living a normal life. Actually, if I hadn't gone into a bloody fit and attacked here you would be safe, so very safe. Will you listen to my story, boy? I'll listen till I have to leave. You won't be leaving anytime soon, you've slipped into a coma. Walk into the gates and come join me." Naruto slipped in, and with a giggle the girl grabbed his hand and dragged him farther into the seal. As they went the water began to dissipate and they were standing in a small room. "The seal gave me one corner of your mind to do with as I please, this is what I made, a place for me to sleep." The girl sat on the bed, and pointed of Naruto to join her. He did and she pulled him. She placed his head in his lap and began to run her fingers through it. "Please tell me your story, about why you attacked." Naruto said after giving a contented sigh. "I was born on a rainy evening in mid-April. Right in the middle of the land of fire's April showers. My mother and father were two of the kindest demon foxes ever born. I was raised to follow their beliefs. I love the humans of Konoha. One child in specific, he had these vibrant blue eyes, and this wild unkempt hair. I'd visit him, in the form of a boy. He was my first friend, and he was always there for me. War was looming in Konoha, and the boy was going to be a ninja, and I feared losing my best friend so I joined him. Now I was already trained by my parents, and was many times stronger than he was. The two of us passed, and were placed on the same team. After a while I told him my secret. I told him I was a demon fox. He smiled at me, and said, "You are you. Demon, slug, hell, you could be the man to kill me and I'd still call you my friend. I was so happy to be accepted to strongly. We soon met a girl, beautiful girl in fact. Slowly the boy began to visit me less, and would spend time only with her. I was alone, and hurt. I thought to myself, if only I had come to him as a woman, like I am, then maybe he'd spend more time with me. It was then that I made a mistake. In a fit of rage I faked my own death in front of him. After doing so I returned home to my mother and father, and for the first time in a while returned to my fox form. It was then that I noticed I had been given my 9th tail. Years passed, and a man came to my home. A strong man, he looked at me with these red frightening eyes, and attacked me. My parents joined in. It was a tremendous battle. My father died first. My mom tossed me away. She was run through with a blade. He looked to me and said that if I wished to get revenge, go to Konoha, that is where I reside. He began to disappear, but he said one last thing. The boy you knew many years ordered me to do this. I ran to Konoha in a rage, and attacked. Then the boy I knew appeared and he looked me in the eyes and I looked at him. I said, Minato, how could you? I trusted you, I told you what I was, and you sent that man to kill my parents. I yelled at him. He looked at me sadly and said, who are you? I showed him the form I had taken many years ago. He looked at me in disbelief and said, so it was you. I'm sorry, old friend, but you know what I must do. He said and began to make hand signs. Minato, I don't blame you. It was then that the Shinigami came and sealed me away. The seal he placed on my while it was kind enough to give me this place, it came at a price. I feel the pain you feel, and I die when you die. The girl said as she cried, her tears wetting Naruto's hair. Naruto did not speak but placed a comforting hand on her face and wiped her tears away. Naruto, will you make a deal with me? If it can ease your suffering, I'll make any deal for you. In exchange for removing 3/4 of that seal, I'll train you, and maybe someday I will make you a demon like myself. Don't worry, removing 3/4 will only give me a corporal body and allow me to take some of my chakra back into my body. I can't remove it all, and still if you die I die. What do you say? Yes. They returned to the bars and Naruto reached forward to the seal and tore 3/4 of it off. Good. I'll force you awake right now. Your wounds should be mostly healed. Wait, what is your name? Yuki. I won't appear to you till you get home. Also make sure you ask the Hokage to put you in the academy. Naruto awoke. First thing he noticed was that he was in the hospital, then he noticed that his Gigi was there. Hi Gigi. Naruto said cheerfully. Hello. How are you? I've felt better. Hey Gigi, is possible for you to put me in the academy? Of course, but why? I want to be able to protect myself, and those I love. The Hokage smiled and picked Naruto up and carried him home. He soon left Naruto alone. Naruto walked to his half-destroyed couch and sat down. Yuki-san, he said. He was shocked to see a small white fox appear in his lap. You called Naruto. The fox said. Why is your fur white? It's white when I'm feeling peaceful, but naturally my fur is red, like it was when I attacked Konoha. Get some sleep. Tomorrow I'll be putting you through the ringer. She said and jumped off of Naruto and walked to his bedroom. She laid down on one of the pillows on his rather large bed. Naruto followed her and slept on the other side of the bed. Yuki stretched when she awoke. How should I begin his training? Shit. What did we do first day in the academy back then? She pondered this for a while the sleeping Naruto snored away. Got it, that's right, we learned to access our chakra, then we climbed trees. Naruto should already be able to access chakra. It does take some chakra to enter that seal, and even more to remove the seal. Yuki looked at the sleeping Naruto and walked over to him. She began to rub her fur on his face. Naruto sneezed himself awake. Oh good, you're awake. Time for training. Yuki barked out at him cheerfully. Are you kidding me? It's 3 in the morning. Naruto said, looking at the alarm clock beside his bed. You know what they say, the early bird gets the worm. Why would I want a worm? Naruto asked, thoroughly confused. Note to self, A. Increase his brain capacity, even though that'll hurt him, or B. Drill him with constant intelligent remarks, and make him learn slowly. Yuki thought. It's a phrase, Naruto, she remarked as she hopped off the bed. Just get up. She continued and left the room. Naruto trudged out of bed, and got dressed in that horrible orange garb he wore. He walked out of the room and noticed that on his table was a bowl of ramen and that Yuki was sitting by it, relaxing. Don't ask. Just chalk it up to that I'm an all-powerful demon. Food making in no time at all is just one of my capabilities. Yuki lazily said. Chalk it up. I don't have a blackboard or any chalk. Screw teaching this boy, going the quick way. When to do it though? Tomorrow. I'll do it tonight after I've worked him into a deep sleep. Yuki's sweat dropped. Never mind Naruto, just eat and let's get to work. Naruto threw back the ramen in no time, making a mess of his face and of his table. After wiping his face off, Naruto started to leave. Hey, clean the table, Yuki shouted. Why? You don't want mold, do you? Yuki finally took a look around and noticed that most of his stuff was in fact covered with mold. Spring cleaning time, she thought. Never mind. Come here and place me in your coat, Yuki said. Naruto walked to her and gently lifted her. He then placed her in his coat. Go find a bunch of trees now, she said, and then was silent. Naruto walked through the streets, ignoring the comments the civilians threw his way. Normally they'd make him feel bad, but Naruto was too excited about being able to train, so he paid them no mind. After an hour of searching, he found a secluded mountainous area that had trees in it. He continued into the trees and found a small river. Found a good place, Yuki-sensei, he said. Yuki then popped out of his coat and hopped down to the floor. Now then, what I want you to do is walk up the trees. Apply chakra to your feet, and you'll stick to the trees. How? Just focus your chakra and imagine it flowing to your feet. Don't give too much and don't give too little. Too little and you'll just slip off, too much and you'll be pushed off, she said. She then walked to one of the trees and placed her paws on the tree and started walking up it. Naruto smiled and ran to the tree, thinking he knew what to do. He was surprised that within 3 steps he was pushed off. Hey Naruto, if you can finish this in 2 hours, I'll make you 10 bowls of ramen. If it takes more, I'll start subtracting bowls, Yuki said, hopping off the tree she was on. Talk about a helper, Naruto said. You mean motivation. Wake me when you finish, Yuki said as she curled into a ball and started to go to sleep. Lazy fox, sleeping while I work, Naruto said after a while of falling off the tree. I heard that, Naruto, Yuki said with her eyes still closed. You can hear me even though you sleep, Naruto said as he started to work his way up the tree. Well, sorta. I'm actually talking to you through your mind. You see, when I sleep my body remains here but my mind is returned to the seal. In theory we should be able to communicate with each other while we wake. Hey, I was thinking, what will people think when I'm talking to a fox? I got it. Go to the Hokage once we finish here and tell him that this fox approached you and started to speaking to me. I was wondering if it was actually speaking. I'll then bark at the Hokage, and you are to say she says she's like a nindog, but instead a ninfox, and that she felt like I would be able to understand her, Yuki said. 8 hours later and Naruto had finally managed to climb up the tree. I did it, he shouted and promptly began to fall. Luckily though, Yuki had woken many hours before and was able to catch him in her mouth. Damn Naruto, you're heavy, she thought. Not my fault you're so small, Naruto responded. Well, so much for seeing if we can speak through our minds while awake. Now then, go to the Hokage, I'll guide you in what to say, Yuki said as she jumped and placed him on the floor. The Hokage was having a strange day. There were rumors that Naruto had put on weight overnight, and when he investigated it with his crystal ball, he sees Naruto speaking to a white fox. Since when were there white foxes? The Hokage thought. What surprised him the most was at a later time, Naruto started talking to himself, but it seemed like he was getting input from a different source. Kyuubi, the Hokage asked himself. Then Naruto opens the door and from his jacket came the fox once more. Hey Naruto. The Hokage said. Hi Gigi. Naruto said as he sat down. The fox jumped out and sat itself on the Hokage's desk. What's with the fox? Sarutobi said. Well, the fox approached me and started speaking to me. Is that normal? Naruto said. The fox then yipped at Naruto a couple times. Oh, she says that she'd be the fox equivalent of a nindog. She said that she felt that I'd be the right person to understand her. Definitely cause of the Kyuubi. Sarutobi thought. Sarutobi made a hand gesture and an Anbu appeared. Snake, go to the Inuzuka compound and tell Sume I need to see her and Kuromura. Sarutobi said. The Anbu disappeared. The two of them sat in silence for a while and then Sume came barging in, with Kuromura trailing behind her. You needed me, Hokage-sama. Sume said. Yes. Young Naruto here seems to be able to communicate with foxes. I wanted Kuromura here to evaluate the fox's strength. Sarutobi said. If you would, fox, please hop down to the floor. Kuromura said. Yuki hopped down, and Kuromura began to pace around her. Yuki stayed extremely still. Then it happened. What is a common gesture for dogs, even nindogs, was not the way Yuki had planned this to go. Kuromura stuck his nose next to her and gave it a sniff. Yuki shivered and her tail pointed straight up and then it curved down. Kuromura backed away, and Yuki's tail buried itself in the ground. She then barked angrily. Forgive me. I didn't know you'd get upset. Kuromura said. Yuki barked again. Well, it's common for us dogs to do. Kuromura said. Yuki barked. Well, you are a canine, I just thought maybe it was common practice. Yuki barked. Oh, I see. Forgive me then. Explain please. Sume said. Well, I sniffed the fox's butt and she didn't like that. Apparently she was extremely sensitive to those kinds of things. Then I apologized and the fox said, what would possess you to do such a thing? That was then it's common was said, and the fox said but she isn't a dog. Then I said that she was a canine and it could have been common practice. She said well it isn't. Kuromura said. Yuki hopped up into Naruto's lap and began to nuzzle his stomach. Kuromura and Sume then looked at the hole in the Hokage's floor. Kuromura sniffed at it. There's some residue chakra in the hole. Also it has the slight smell of fire. I'm pretty sure that if that had hit me, I'd be dead. I believe that as long as her senses are strong she'd be valuable to us. Yuki barked sarcastically if that was possible. Oh, yeah, her sense of smell is definitely strong. Kuromura said. Why? Sarutobi said. Well, she just said she smelled that Sume had steak for dinner last night, and that her shampoo smelled like an orchid. Also she said some other things that aren't exactly appropriate to be said around a pup. Kuromura said. It was then that they noticed Naruto's blush. I heard it already, I can understand her. Naruto said. Well then what did she say? Sume said. She said that she could tell it was Sume's time of the month because she smelled of blood. Also she could tell that Sume has touched herself twice in the last week, and that she hasn't been with a man in at least 3 years. Kuromura sighed. Sume blushed. Is that true? Sarutobi said and then regretted it. Even if it was, it's not your business, Hokage-sama. Sume said and then stormed out. It's true. Kuromura said and then exited. Well then the fox can stay. You may leave. Sarutobi said. Yuki barked once more. Yuki says she wants you to call her Yuki, just like you call Kuromura, Kuromura. Naruto said as he replaced Yuki in his coat. Oh, and she asks that you get me better clothes, ones that will allow Yuki to rest in them comfortably. I'd buy them myself, but the civilians won't let me. Naruto then left. Naruto walked home and yawned loudly. I'm going to sleep, I'll have those ramen tomorrow for breakfast. Naruto said and went to bed. After Naruto had fallen asleep, Yuki smiled. Time to begin, she said. All throughout the night screams came from Naruto's apartment. No civilian neared it as they assumed the brat was getting what he deserved, and while they wanted to watch something told them to stay away. Little did they know that Yuki was sending out ki and keeping all of them away with a minor genjutsu that made everyone want to steer clear of that area. Months had gone by since Yuki was shown to the Hokage. During this time Naruto had been under constant training by Yuki. He had mastered tree climbing, water walking, leaf floating, and his chakra control was near perfect. Also Yuki had started pumping more and more of her Yuki into him, and so he had to be trained how to use them. He had been taught Shadow Clone Jutsu, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, Wind Style, Cutting Wind, Demon Style, Skeleton Army, Demon Style, Dark Dissolve, and Earth Style, Earth Wall. His mental capacities had also grown and were around Nara level in intelligence. On this day Naruto was awoke by an excited Yuki. "Naruto, wake up, time for the first day of academy," she shouted into his mind. I'm coming, keep your panties on," Naruto mumbled as he dressed himself. He wore a similar gray coat as the one Kiba wore, and black pants. His hair had grown out and was tied in a ponytail. His eyes still shone with the same warmth as they always did, but they at times went ice cold. Naruto opened his bedroom door and an aggravated Yuki followed behind him. Yuki's fur was still as white as always, but had faint traces of red because of her aggravation. Naruto ate the breakfast Yuki had prepared for him. A simple breakfast really, all it was miso soup. Yuki was proud she had finally beat him into eating more than ramen. "Shall we?" Naruto said as he cleaned his dish. "Yes, let's," Yuki said, jumping into Naruto's coat. Naruto walked through the village, and while it was still dark out he still got the occasional glare from some civilian. Naruto arrived at the academy way before it was open. "Why am I here so early?" Naruto mentally spoke to Yuki. "Simple. I want you to break into the academy without making a single sound, and without being noticed." Yuki responded. "Try not to sound like it will be a piece of cake." Naruto sighed. "I was able to break in every day when I was coming here." Yuki said proudly. "Yeah, but you also were cage level at stealth by that time." Naruto said, and then he walked around the academy, eyeing every window, every trap that was placed on them at this time, and every feature of the walls. "You got your way in?" Yuki asked. "Yeah," Naruto said, and he turned away. He then sat and relaxed himself against a tree. "Demon Style. Dark Dissolve," Naruto whispered. After saying it, Naruto's body along with Yuki's turned black and disappeared into the darkness. Naruto felt himself floating and yet felt grounded. He knew he was in the dark pathways as they were called. Flashback. Now listen, Naruto, this jutsu pulls you into a place called the Dark Pathways. This is a place that will allow you to appear anywhere you wish. What you'll see is small lights, and if you stared into them you'd see possible destinations. Simple as that, Yuki said. End flashback. After a bit of searching, Naruto found the right spot and entered. On the darkened wall of the academy wall was a roster. It showed where he would be placed. Room 104, Teachers, Iruka Yumino, and Mizuki. Shino Ibarami Choji Akamichi, Sakura Haruno, Hinata Hyuga, Kiba Inuzuka, Shikimaru Nara, Sasuke Uchiha, Naruto Uzumaki, and Ino Yamanaka. "Geez, I have the all-clan air class." Naruto sighed. Naruto made his way to his class and entered. He sat at a random seat and waited. Many hours later the lights turned on and a man with scar across his nose walked in. When he saw Naruto his eyebrow raised. "What are you doing here?" the man asked. "Waiting," Naruto responded. "What for?" "Class is to begin." "Why? I'm in the class." "Oh, what's your name?" "Naruto Uzumaki." "You, Iruka Yumino." The man smiled. "Hello Iruka-sensei," Naruto said, petting Yuki who had just popped out of his coat. "No pets allowed, Naruto," Iruka said angrily. "You'll allow an Inuzuka's dog though. They're special. The Hokage gave me special clearance to keep Yuki here with me. She is like a nindog to me." Naruto sighed. "You're coming with me. We're going to go see the Hokage before class begins and ask about this," Iruka said and held out his hand. Naruto took Iruka's hand and Iruka used Shunshin to go to the Hokage's office. He entered the office to see the Hokage carefully writing a document. "Hokage-sama, Iruka said. Sarutobi looked up and saw Iruka, and Naruto. He sighed. What did Naruto do? The Hokage said, pinching his nose. He brought a fox to class. Iruka said. Oh, Yuki-san. Don't worry Iruka, he is allowed to bring her. Sarutobi said, removing his hand. Okay. Shall we Naruto? Iruka said, holding out his hand. No, hold up. Naruto responded, staring straight at his Gigi. What is it Naruto? Sarutobi asked. Why did you place me with all the clan heirs? We are debating whether or not you've developed a bloodline that allows you to speak with foxes. Also, we wish to know if it will pass to your children. Yuki barked. Well, Yuki says there is no way to know just yet. She says that as of right now it should only remain this way for me, but circumstances changed. As I'm still going through changes, due to meeting her, in a few years I may actually be able to pass this. Well then, any idea when these changes will end? Yuki barked. By my graduation. Let's go Iruka. Naruto said and grabbed Iruka's hand. Goodbye Hokage-sama. Iruka said and disappeared with Naruto. They arrived a little before class began and the students were already in the class. Upon seeing Naruto, 3 students stood and walked to him. Naruto. Good to see you. How are you? Mom is looking forward to seeing you again. Kiba asked. Naruto was reminded of the day he met Kiba. Flashback. Naruto was at home working out when he heard a gentle knock. Yuki barked and was responded to by another bark. Kuromura and Sume. Let them in, Yuki told Naruto mentally. Naruto walked to the door and opened. He was met by a smiling Sume. Naruto-kun. Come with me, love. Sume said the second half seductively. Yuki growled. Sume laughed. Come, there's someone I want you to meet Naruto. My son Kiba. Sume said. Together Sume, carrying Naruto who was carrying Yuki, and Kuromura running alongside, they went to the Inuzuka compound. There they met Kiba. Naruto and Kiba hit it off almost right away. They spent the day playing games, and having a good time. Naruto, for as long as I live I'll protect you. That is my oath, and the Inuzuka keep our oaths. Kiba said. End flashback. Kiba grabbed Naruto and took him to the back where Shikamaru sat sleeping. Naruto sat next to Shikamaru and decided to join him in slumber. While Naruto slept, Yuki rested on Naruto's lap. Inside Naruto's mind. Yuki. What is wrong with my body? I've felt so stiff today. Naruto said, resting his head on her lap. That is my fault Naruto. You see, having me leave the seal has caused more of my power to slip into your body. It's causing you to change, slowly. Right now your body is rebounding from it all. I'm sorry you're going to be stiff for a while. She said. Change? What kind of change? Naruto asked. As of now I'm not sure. Tomorrow I'll stay in your body and check. Outside Naruto's mind. Class was ending and Naruto was awoken by Kiba. Hey, wake up. School's over, time to go home. Kiba said gently. Naruto walked home slowly, feeling sluggish. Naruto, I can't feel your chakra pulsing anymore. Yuki said mentally. I noticed. Naruto replied. It was then that many people closed in on Naruto. Demon. We aren't going to let you get stronger. You'll die here. A gray-haired man said. Naruto ran, if not slower than normal, but Naruto still was a bit faster than most. Yuki was in his coat. When Naruto turned a corner, and saw the dead end, Naruto reached into his coat, and pulled Yuki out. He tossed her onto a roof. Yuki, the Inuzuka compound is nearby. Naruto said mentally. Yuki took off. I won't make it if I don't pull two tails out. Yuki said. I trust Sume and Kiba, feel free to tell them. Naruto said as he prepared to fight. Naruto pulled out a single kunai and faced the civilians that were nearing him. With Yuki. Yuki allowed two tails to appear and ran off faster than most chakra-powered runs. As she ran, her pure white fur turned red. She arrived in the Inuzuka compound. She ran to where Kiba was being trained by Hana as Sume watched. Yuki landed next to Kuromura. She barked at him. What? Kuromura shouted. What is Kuromura? Who is this? Sume said. Hana, And Kiba please leave along with the triplets, and Akamaru. Kuromura said. Hana sighed and left. It's Yuki. Naruto is in trouble, he's surrounded and his body is not responding to him. Kuromura said. Sum ran. Kuromura and Yuki ran alongside them. Why does she look different? Sum asked. Yuki barked. When she's in distress her fur turns red. Kuromura said. Okay. What about the two tails? Sum asked. Yuki sighed and then barked once more. She says there is no easy way to explain, so she's going to be blunt. She is Kyuubi. Kuromura said. What? Sum shouted. Yuki barked. She says that she is not here to hurt Naruto, she is Naruto's friend first and foremost. Kuromura said. Fine. Their secret is the Inuzuka secret. Naruto will always have our protection, Sum said as she landed on the floor. She saw the blood on the floor. Whose blood? Sum said. Naruto's. Kuromura said after sniffing it. Follow his scent. Sum said. If anyone looked at Yuki just then she'd have seen the tears flowing from her eyes. They chased the scent and found Naruto sitting in a small hole in the wall, nursing a wound in his chest. Hi, Naruto said and coughed up blood. Yuki barked. Sum, get him out of there, Yuki needs to do something to him. Kuromura said. Sum reached forward and pulled him out. Yuki jumped up onto Naruto and licked at his wound. She licked up his blood. As she licked, Naruto's wounds healed up. Naruto had passed out midway through. When Yuki finished, she barked. Tell no one of what you saw. Kuromura said. That can be done. Sum said and she lifted Naruto. They took Naruto home, and laid him in his bed. Yuki. Protect this boy. If you ever hurt him, I don't care if you are Kami herself, I will kill you. Sum said and turned and left. Yuki smiled. I won't ever hurt him. How can I hurt the man I love? She thought. It had been 4 years since Naruto entered the academy, during which he had trained constantly. He had mastered more of the demon style, he had learned the shadow clone jutsu, and was taught the kitsune fighting style. While he couldn't use all of the moves, because some required him to turn into a fox, he was nearly unbeatable while using this style. Iruka had been the one to give the tests to Naruto, and to grade his test, so he was in fact the top of the class. Naruto had caused Shikamaru to truly show his intelligence, but Shikamaru was not as smart as Naruto. Naruto and Shikamaru had developed a friendship over the years. It had been 4 years since the incident with Naruto and the civilians. And the changes had yet to finish occurring. His hair had grown insanely fast, and it now was in a ponytail that reached his lower back. Yuki had told him he would never truly change unless he finished the 3-step process. She never told him what it was. When he asked about it, she'd blush and change the subject. Iruka was going on and on about how he was proud that each of you passed. When are my changes going to finish? Naruto asked again. I've told you many times, they will end once you complete the 3 stages to become a demon. Yuki said. What are those stages? I will not tell you exactly what they are, just yet. The first stage causes peace for both of us, the second causes some pain for both of us, and the last causes extreme pain for you. That is when you become a demon forever. Yuki said. Is that bad? Naruto responded. I'll no longer be able to walk into your seal, and communicating through our mind could end, or could strengthen. Our relationship will change. I'm afraid that if I tell you, you will leave me. Yuki said. I will not allow the two of us to be separated. You're my best friend, I will not just leave you. Naruto responded. Iruka had just ended his speech and they were allowed to leave. Yuki rested on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto walked over to the Hokage's tower. When he entered the tower, he was met with some of the council members. They looked at him like he was a piece of meat. Naruto just smiled as he passed and went to the Hokage's office. When he entered the office, he saw his Gigi smoking a pipe and writing something down. Gigi, we're here, Naruto said as he sat. Hello, Sarutobi said. How are you? Naruto said. I'm good. You? I'm fine. Come enough with the pleasantries. Yuki spoke for the first time. You can speak. Sarutobi said, shocked. Yes, why couldn't I? Yuki responded. You never had before. Didn't see you guys as worth hearing my voice, only Naruto had deserved it till now. Enough about that, my time is precious. The changes have not ended, but as of now he will never be able to pass it on. This may change as the final change is yet to come, he need only accept and it will start. Yuki said, I've tried to accept, you won't tell me what those stages are. Naruto sighed. Tell us. Sarutobi said. Yuki glowed and turned into her human form, and peered at Sarutobi with her red eyes. I've seen those eyes before. Where? You've seen them when I came here after my family's death by the hands of an Uchiha. That Uchiha was ordered to attack by the fourth, or that's what the man told me. It wasn't until I confronted the fourth I realized I had been led on. The fourth was gentle to me, and instead of banishing me back to the pits of hell he sealed me away. Yuki said, You're the Kyuubi. Sarutobi said, That is correct. Yuki said with a smile. What do you want with Naruto? I want nothing, but peace to live my life. Naruto can give you this. Yes. He has the unnatural ability to bring peace to anyone he believes to be precious. That is true. Would you stop talking about me like I'm not here? Naruto shouted. Right, sorry. Yuki said with a giggle. Naruto loved her giggles, but he could never truly tell her how he felt about her. He was afraid she'd reject him, much like she was afraid he would. Well, as the changes have not ended, I see no reason to keep you. Sarutobi said. Yuki changed back into the fox, and the two of them left. They left the beaten path, and went to their secret spot. What it was basically a seal on a tree that once activated, transported them into an underground cavern. It was a big area, complete with 3 bathrooms, a wide training area, 2 bedrooms, a kitchen, and living area. The living area was where they landed. It was a spacious room, with a couch and a wide assortment of training manuals. The training manuals were created by Yuki. After she had snuck into the libraries she copied them. Naruto then spent hours reading them and copying them. They had placed hundreds of privacy seals in the walls so that no one would be able to spy on them or hear them training. They had gotten accustomed to only sleeping here and never returning to his original house. Instead they would send shadow clones there so the Hokage never suspected anything. Please explain the 3 steps, I will accept them no matter what. Naruto said. Naruto, what do you think of me? Yuki asked. I think you are absolutely amazing. You are kind, generous, loving, and the only person who has ever truly believed in me. Naruto. To do these steps is to forever pledge yourself to stay with me, as my equal, and as my companion. Yuki said, blushing. Stay with you as a companion? You mean as a husband? Don't you? Yes. I understand if you don't want to. I mean, it is my fault you're hated, my fault your parents are. She was cut off by Naruto's lips meeting hers. It was a gentle and chaste kiss, lasting no more than 5 seconds. Yuki. You know I don't care about that. I'm at peace when I'm with you, and so I love you. Naruto said. Naruto. I love you too. The 3 steps are a sort of binding contract between you and I. In the second stage, 1 bite your neck and you bite mine, where we bit a mark appears, sealing us together forever. That step will force the 3rd, and that step will make you a demon, an immortal being. At that time, we will never be able to part from one another. Yuki said. What is the 1st step? The first has begun. It began when you said I love you to me. This is how we ended and moved to part 2. She said and pushed him onto the floor of the living room. Bite my neck, Naruto, she said as she leaned down to bite his. The two of them bit each other roughly, and where they bit a mark appeared. On Naruto's neck the image of a 9-tailed white fox appeared, and on Yuki's neck a 9-tailed ice blue fox appeared. As their fangs pulled out from one another, Naruto screamed out in pain. Suddenly a bright light appeared around him, and when it was gone Naruto's form began to shift. He continued to scream as the changes occurred. His normal blonde wild hair flattened and turned ice blue. His cerulean eyes grew colder. The 3 whisker marks on him disappeared. His arms bulged for a bit and then returned to their original state. His legs grew in length, as did his arms. When it finally ended, a burst of chakra expanded from Naruto. All over Konoha a burst of power was felt and every shinobi prepared for a fight. It wasn't until the Hokage sent Anbu to all of them telling them that all is fine did they relax. Back with Yuki and Naruto. Naruto lay sleeping on the floor, and Yuki sat there running her hands through his hair. His hair changed. What was it Mom said? Right, the color of the fox demon's hair while in human form directly relates to their power. If my hair is fire red and Naruto's hair reminds me of ice, then he must have the power of ice. So confusing. Gah. There was something else she said about blue. She was going on and on about how cool it was her baby had fire. Then she stopped and said that while fire was strong and was able to master all the other types of elements and would be the only one capable of receiving 9 tails, the rarest was ice. Those with ice had an unnatural ability to sub-elements as well as the main elements. They were even capable of using the dark element once they received their 8th tail. If a fire and an ice fought against each other, they could take out a 4,000-mile area. Yuki reflected. Yuki sighed. Always gotta be a special child, don't you, Naruto? Kami, damn it all. She kissed his forehead and carried him to bed. Once there, she slept holding his body close to her. The Hokage, the Shinobi, and Civilian Council were meeting. They were talking about the team selection. As always, the Civilian Council believed that Sasuke should be on a team alone as he is the strongest. This was immediately disputed by the Shinobi Council as the clan heads, minus Hiashi, shouted out that their child was just as good. It didn't get much better when they saw Naruto on the list. Kill the demon, they shouted. The Civilian Council was immediately hit by ki from Sum. That man is no demon. He has the utmost respect of the Inuzuka clan, you'd do well to remember that. Sum shouted. She's been tricked by the demon. A pink-haired Civilian Council said. If Sum has been tricked, then we are screwed. If she has, then so have I, Shikaku, and everyone else. Hiashi said. Have you not seen that boy walking with that damn fox? The pink hair said. That fox means nothing. He will be placed on a team. The Hokage said gently. Whatever, as long as Naruto isn't on Sasuke's team. He'd just drag him down. You're right, Sasuke would just drag Naruto down. Sum said with a sneer. You bitch. You know, that's not an insult to my clan, but you know what? Sum said. What? It is when you say it, you whore. Sum said and threw a kunai that landed right in between the pink-haired Civilian Council member's legs. Don't you dare call me a whore. This is getting us nowhere. Both of you calm down. Naruto will not be placed with Sasuke, for the betterment of both. If they were together, they'd fight constantly. Sarutobi said. Fine. The two said. Hokage-sama, if I may suggest that Kiba and Naruto be placed on a team. From what my child says, the two of them make a good team and they look out for each other. Also, may my child be placed alongside them. Naruto has made my son utilize all of his potential. Shikaku said. Can you give me good reason why we shouldn't have a repeat of the Ino Shika Cho team from your years? Sarutobi responded to the man. In all due respect, Inoichi, my child has voiced that he despises the, and I quote, the blonde-haired fangirl. While Choji and my son would work very well together, Shikamaru wishes to be with Naruto. Naruto is a genius and would balance my son's short-sightedness at times. He replied. I suppose. Sarutobi said. If I may ask that my daughter be their teacher. She'd be of use in training Shikamaru in being of use at tracking. Sum said. I'll take it into consideration. Sarutobi said. It was then that they felt a power surge through the room. Immediately all the shinobi were on guard. Relax. That's just Naruto's final change occurring. Nothing important really. Sarutobi said. They would soon find out how wrong he was. Naruto awoke to the sound of humming. He stretched himself and felt an ache in his bones. He ran his fingers through his hair expecting it to be spiky as always. He was surprised that it wasn't. Naruto jumped up and ran to the bathroom. He looked at himself and promptly screamed. Yuki, who was still in human form, in the other room, walked over to him. I said there would be changes. Yuki said, putting her hands on her hips. You didn't say my hair would turn blue. Naruto screamed. Well, I never said it wouldn't. She replied. Gah. Naruto shouted. Well, you should hide the change at least while in town. Don't want the villagers shouting that the demon took over. Yuki said bitterly. They can't do anything to me now. I'm a ninja. I answer to only one person, and that person is the Hokage. Well, that's how it will be eventually. For now it'll be 2 people. Enough about that. They can't do anything to me. Naruto said. Still change. I will. I'll show it when I'm fighting though. Naruto said. That's reasonable. Now then, we must get to the academy. Team selections and all. Oh, and don't you worry about your chakra control. You were already accustomed to using my chakra, so it shouldn't feel any different. Yuki said, changing into her fox form. That's good. Naruto said as he dressed. Together they went to the academy. When they arrived, they were met by a smiling Kiba. What's going on? Why are you smiling? Naruto asked. He's smiling because he passed the test his mother gave him. Shikamaru answered as he walked up. Ah. Sume tested whether you deserved clan heir status, did she? Naruto asked. Yeah, I passed with flying colors. You are looking at the next head of the Inuzuka clan. Kiba said, practically jumping off the walls in his excitement. What about Hana? She didn't want to be clan head, she wanted to stay as the clan vet. Kiba replied. The 2 of them hugged, each with pride for the other. Kiba whispered in Naruto's ear. Mom told me about Yuki and who she really is. Oh, I'm sorry. Naruto whispered. How could you never tell me? Don't you trust me enough to tell me something so insignificant? Kiba whispered, looking down onto Naruto's shoulder. As luck would have it, Naruto's hood was down and Kiba got a good look at the mark on Naruto's neck. Kiba knew exactly what it was and decided against mentioning it. The pair separated and went to their seats, with Shikamaru following lazily behind. Iruka entered the class and began to read out team groupings. Team 7. Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, Shino Aburame. Iruka said. There was a loud squeal coming from Sakura. Team 8. Naruto Uzumaki, Kiba Inuzuka, Shikamaru Nara. Iruka said. Yahoo! Kiba shouted, standing up, knocking Naruto into Shikamaru. Kiba, don't be troublesome, sit back down. Shikamaru said. Naruto returned to where he was and Yuki jumped up into his arms. Naruto sat and petted Yuki lovingly while she purred. Team 9 still in circulation, so Team 10 is Hinata Hyuga, Ino Yamanaka and Choji Akamaiki. Naruto, I love you so. Yuki said in his mind. I love you, Yuki. Naruto responded. Yuki jumped up and licked Naruto's neck right where the mark was. Kiba, who was watching the whole interaction, was both shocked and amazed. Naruto mated with a fox. And not just any fox, but the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Wait, Kyuubi's a girl, was what Kiba thought as he watched. Kiba saw the mark. Naruto. He thinks you're into bestiality. Yuki said with a chuckle. What? Naruto shouted in his mind. Shikamaru was also watching the whole thing. He thought that something was off, but he couldn't quite place it. After a while, Junin started to fill in. A red-haired girl with red eyes walked in and shouted for Team 8. The 3 of them followed the girl to the woods just outside of the academy. There, sitting on a bench, was Hana Inuzuka and her 3 dogs. The dogs were sitting there relaxed while Hana was obviously stressed. Naruto had only seen her that stressed once before. Flashback. Hana was biting her thumb after explaining to Naruto that she was revealing to her mother her secret. Naruto just sighed. Hana, it'll be fine. Sume loves you. She won't get mad at you over something as small as that. You go both ways. Naruto said. I know, Naruto, it's just hard to say. What do I say? Hey mom, I'm a carpet muncher as well as a meat sucker. Well, that's one way of telling me. A voice said from behind Hana. Mom. Hana yelled. Silly child. I knew you went both ways. After all, you take after me in so many ways. Sume said with a laugh. End flashback. Geez, Hana. Relax. The girl said as she walked up. I'm fine, Kurenai, Hana said as their team joined them, sitting on the floor with the dogs. One of the dogs took an interest in Yuki, but Yuki barked at it, essentially telling him that she was already mated. The dog walked back dejectedly, the other two stifled a barking laugh. Alright, we are your senseis. As some of you may know, the Hokage instituted a new law this year that says genin teams must be run by two junin, one is sensei and the other is assistant sensei. Each sensei must have very different styles. Case in point, I'm genjutsu while Hana is mainly taijutsu. Kurenai said. Yes. Now then, why don't we start off by introducing ourselves? I know two of you but one I don't, and I'm sure Kurenai doesn't know any of you. Kurenai, you start. I'm Kurenai Yuhi. I like genjutsu, Hana-chan. Kurenai blushed as she said that, just realizing that her genin team didn't really need to know that. I dislike perverts, rapists, those who look down on genjutsu, and those who judge others. My hobbies are inventing new genjutsus, assisting Hana-chan with the Inuzuka dogs and gardening. My dream is to live a long life with the woman I love. Kurenai said, still blushing. Hana stared at Kurenai lovingly. I'm Hana Inuzuka. I like my dogs, and most of all Kurenai. I dislike perverts, rapists, and those who hurt my friends. My hobbies are training and helping out the Inuzuka dogs when they get sick. My wish is the same as Kurenai's. Kiba, you next. Hana said. My name is Kiba Inuzuka. I like Akamaru, and my friends. I dislike those who judge others. My hobbies are helping Naruto, training with Naruto, and hanging with my family. My dream is to be a better clan head than mom is. Kiba said. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I like ramen, and Yuki. I dislike rapists, and those who hate foxes. My hobbies are training with Kiba and Yuki, chatting with Shikamaru, beating Shikamaru in shogi, and most of all talking with Yuki. My dream is to protect those I love. Naruto said. Troublesome. Names Shikamaru. Liking things and disliking things is too troublesome. My hobbies are playing shogi and cloud watching. My dream is to be a good clan head. Shikamaru said. Okay, you three meet us at the bridge at promptly 7 o'clock in the morning. Don't eat breakfast, you might barf. Hana said, and then she and Kurenai disappeared. Hey Naruto, want to come to see mom with me? Kiba asked. I'll see you there. I got to go talk with the Hokage first. Naruto replied. Okay. Naruto ran to the Hokage's office with Yuki in his jacket. He ran up the stairs and barged into office to see Sarutobi leaning back in his chair sleeping. Gigi. Naruto shouted, waking Sarutobi. What? Sarutobi said, annoyed at being awoken. Naruto glowed and he turned into his Hanyu form. Naruto, you got a lot of explaining to do. Sarutobi said bitterly. Naruto walked forward and sat in one of the chairs, in the office. Where do you want me to start, Gigi? Naruto sighed out. Why don't you start with why you have a tail? End of the changing. We finished the 3 steps, and as a side effect I turned into being half human and half fox. I'll take it from here, Naruto. Yuki said and glowed. She turned into the form of a black-haired boy with brown eyes. Shinji-kun. The Hokage said, shocked. It's been a while, Sarutobi. Yuki, as Shinji said. You died, didn't you? Why were you Naruto's fox? I thought the fox was Kyuubi. Sarutobi, a fox demon can't die by the hands of a human. I was Shinji and I am the Kyuubi, both are me. I thought an Uchiha killed your parent Yuki. Naruto interjected. I'll get to that soon. I think Sarutobi wants to know something. Yuki said. Sure enough, Sarutobi was leaning forward inquisitively. So Yuki, you are both Shinji and Kyuubi. Why were you spending time with Minato? Was he just a part of this plan to get you peace? Sarutobi said bitterly. When I was a small fox, I got lost in the human world. I was lonely and frightened, because at that time I had practically no strength. 3 men came forward and wanted to attack me, for my fur. A young boy walked out. He had wild blonde hair, and he spoke to the 3 men and they left. He said to them, Daddy wouldn't want you to hurt the fox. The boy walked to me and whispered gently, you need to go home, fox. It isn't safe near here. I ran and left. After a while my parents found me. I came back to the area. I met the boy 3 years later in the form of Shinji. There was the boy training. I went to him and asked if I could train with him. We sparred and he lost. He said come back tomorrow. So it became tradition for me to go visit him there. A year later Minato told me he was joining the academy, and I decided to join him to protect my friend. Years went by and the two of us made a name for ourselves. It was then we met Kushina, and Minato fell in love. I was sad, because somewhere deep inside I had feelings for Minato, and I wanted him to be happy. I knew he'd never be happy if I was around, so I faked my death. I returned home. War was looming in the demon world. The Kitsune clan went to war and many of us died. When the war was over only my family survived. My mother was with child and was weakened by it. My dad had lost one of his eyes in the fights. I was fine except for some major scaring. It was then that the Uchiha came. He had a weird feel to him. Most humans feel relaxed, but he felt twisted. He attacked me, and used abilities no human should be able to use. Now the three of us were still tired from the war. My mother joined the fight and she had her stomach exploded. I watched my mother die. Not only that, but I saw my soon-to-be brother die. My father in a rage attacked him and he too was killed. At that time the Uchiha was weakened and I was moving forward to kill him. He told me that the Hokage sent him, and he disappeared. I ran to Konoha and attacked crying out for revenge. When I saw Minato once more, I was pissed. I yelled at him asking how could he do that. He was confused. We spoke while fighting and he told me I ordered no Uchiha to attack you. I was confused and he used that time to start the sealing. I showed him my form as Shinji, and told him I didn't blame him for sealing me away. Then I awoke inside of Naruto here. That answer any questions you may have. Most. I ask again, what do you truly want Naruto for? Truthfully, he was a pawn when I first met him. I saw a way for me to get revenge on that Uchiha. It was a game for me to just train him, but Naruto grew on me. Now though I want the peace Naruto can give me. Is that true? I was a pawn to you. Naruto whispered. We'll talk later, Naruto. Yuki whispered back. I see. Did you ever think your actions would hurt Naruto? Sarutobi shouted at her. I did. Originally I didn't care, but now I worry. I worry so much for him. Naruto looked down into his lap and a few tears fell. Yuki, due to the mark, could feel his emotions and placed a hand on his shoulder. He brushed her hand off angrily and stood and walked to the other side of the room. He sat with his back against the wall. It was a pose Yuki had seen Minato do. Minato did when he felt his world breaking apart. Minato wanted to feel that he could face each one at a time without anything sneaking up on him. Naruto looked up and at Yuki, tears dripping from his eyes, but his eyes were cold. Yuki looked away, unable to face that gaze right then. Anything else? Yuki said. Many. Sarutobi said, calming down. Can we get this over with? Yuki said. Did you think of what might happen to me when you asked me to rip the seal? Naruto asked. I said we'd speak later. Yuki said. No, I want to know. Also, what was the purpose of the seal being ripped? Sarutobi said. As I said before, I didn't care. I knew ripping the seal could kill the boy, but at the time I didn't care. Him ripping the seal removed me being trapped with him. Finished the 3 steps we took yesterday, removed the chance that I'd die if he did, and that he'd die if I did. So in other words, all you care about is you being safe and free to run away. That was my original feeling. Now though I don't feel that way. What you feel now does not change the fact you came into this to hurt Naruto. Sarutobi said. Anything else? Yuki said again. No, we'll talk about if Naruto will be able to pass this ability to his children now. Yes. He just needs to mark other women, but the marking process is special. There has to be love between the pair for the mark to be able to be placed on each other. So Naruto will have to pick the girls and they'd have to pick him. If any girl had with Naruto and they didn't have a mark, no children could ever be sired between the two of them. Yuki said and returned to her fox form. Gigi. Can I leave? I'm supposed to go see Kiba. Naruto said, standing. Yes, you both may leave. We'll talk about clan status at a later time. Sarutobi said. Naruto walked straight out, not even bothering to pick up Yuki. When they were out of the office, Yuki tried to jump up onto Naruto's shoulder. When her paws touched his shoulder, he pushed her off. Yuki hit the floor and sighing, she walked next to Naruto. If anyone looked down at her, they'd have noticed the slight tears dripping from her eyes. The two walked quietly. Yuki tried to speak to Naruto through his mind, but he'd ignore her. Naruto. I'm sorry. She screamed in his head. Forgive me. I know I was wrong back then, but now it's different. She continued. Naruto. I love you. Please stop ignoring me, she said, tears evident in her words. They continued onward. After a while, Yuki stopped trying to get to him, and resolved to talk to him later. They arrived at the Inuzuka compound and just walked straight in. When they got to where Sume, Hana and Kiba lived, the door swung open. Sume was standing there. You know, Naruto, it's polite to ring the bell at the gate. Sume teased. I'll remember that for next time. Naruto said blankly as he passed Sume. Sume blinked and looked at Yuki, who turned to her, revealing the tears in her eyes. Yuki turned back and continued with Naruto. The night went on, and finally Sume grabbed Yuki and walked her away to speak with her. When the two were alone, Yuki returned to her human form. Okay. What's wrong, Yuki? Sume asked as the pair walked through the garden. Yuki sighed. Sume, you've been a good friend to Naruto and myself over these years. Yuki said. The Inuzuka are loyal, but you are dodging my question. Sume said. Our meeting with the Hokage didn't go so well. The old man wasn't happy when we started and he tore at me with questions. I don't know how he knew the questions to ask to force me to reveal my secrets, but he did. The Hokage is the leader, he is intelligent. Sume said. He wouldn't ask anyone else those questions. What it comes down to is he was being biased because I'm Kyuubi. I don't think the Hokage would do that. I saw the contempt in his eyes when Naruto showed him his Hanyu form. He thought Naruto was taken over by me. He made sure to make his questions reveal only the bad side of me. When I tried to say that everything has changed since then, he said that all that matters is then and that now doesn't count. Okay. Tell me the full conversation. Sume said. So Yuki told Sume everything that happened in the Hokage's office. By the end, Yuki was in tears. Sume turned away from her. Where are you going? Yuki said. To speak with Naruto. Sume said. Before Yuki could voice her opinion, Sume was off. Naruto, Hana and Kiba were having a good time with each other. Since Yuki left Naruto's side, Kiba had managed to make Naruto forget about what had happened. Hana, on the other hand, had just sat back and laughed at her brother making a fool of himself. The jovial mood was killed when an angry Sume came in. Naruto with me now. Sume growled. Mother. Kiba asked. Not now. Naruto, I'm not going to say it again. Sume said. Naruto jumped up and ran to Sume's side. Sume reached down and pulled Naruto away with her. Where are we going? Naruto yelled. Shut up. Sume said. Sume pulled Naruto to a far corner of the Inuzuka compound. She then placed 3 barriers around them, one keeping people from seeing them, one to stop them from hearing the pair, and the last to erase their scent. Now you listen to me. Sume said. Fine. Naruto replied. How dare you not listen to how harshly the Hokage was treating Yuki? Sume yelled. How harshly he was treating her. I'm glad he got all of that out of her. Naruto said. Sume's hand came across his face, knocking Naruto to the floor. Do not interrupt me. You didn't think it odd that when Yuki tried to explain that it's changed, the Hokage just ignored it and said it doesn't matter? Well, it doesn't. Another slap. Did I say you could answer me just yet? No, I didn't, so shut up. I understand Yuki came into this relationship for the wrong reasons, but you came in with nothing. You just did what she wished. Do not pretend that you don't love her. I've seen the two of you together, your feelings for each other are so amazing. I wish I could have had half that with my bastard of an old husband. I came into that relationship for worse reasons than Yuki's. I settled for him. I gave up. I thought there was no one who could fulfill all I wanted. Imagine my surprise when I find the man, and not only is he taken but he is so happy with her. Don't slap me. I love Yuki, that is true, but it hurts to know this about her. I feel betrayed. Did she not realize I might die? The man is a fool for not liking you. Naruto replied. I can't blame him. She's a beauty. So, you're selling yourself short. You are beautiful too. Not only that, fun to hang out with. Heck, I would want a girl half as good as you to be one of my wives. One of your wives? Yeah, apparently I'm allowed a couple wives. Also, I probably will be placed under the CRA. Are you serious? You would want a woman like me? Yes. Tsume reached down and grabbed Naruto. She pulled him close to her and whispered. The man I found that could fulfill all I wanted was you, Naruto. She said and kissed him. At first Naruto was taken aback by the shock of Tsume's lips meeting his, but then he returned the kiss. They kissed heatedly for a few minutes, then Tsume pulled away. Naruto. Forgive Yuki. She loves you. I love you too. Tsume said. Tsume. I was conflicted, because I had feelings for both you and Yuki. I didn't think you'd like a guy like me. I don't know if I can forgive Yuki so easily, but I'll try. Naruto said and moved forward once more to kiss Tsume. Yuki was pissed and yet pleased. She was pissed that Naruto had with Tsume, and gave her a mate mark without her permission. Pleased that he had chosen her. She decided to hunt the two down and sprinted off. With Tsume and Naruto, the two smiled at one another as they sat up. Tsume dressed as did Naruto. Once they were dressed, Tsume released the barrier to see Yuki standing there with a smile. Hi Yuki. Naruto said nervously. Hello Naruto. She replied once again with a smile. Tsume began. Save it Tsume. I heard everything. I am marked with him after all. I'm just surprised you'd break the rules of that mate mark. After all, I am the alpha of his wives. While it's ultimately Naruto's decision, no woman can be added without my acceptance. I know. I just saw my chance and took it. Tsume said, looking down. It's okay. While I'm not pleased with the way you were added, I had planned on trying to get you to marry Naruto. Next time, Naruto, do not add someone without my permission. Yuki. I wanted to say to you, I'm sorry for not standing up for you when Gigi was verbally abusing you. It was just a shock to me to hear what you said. It hurt me. I felt like maybe you didn't love me like you said you did. It reminded me of some things that happened to me before I met you. Naruto said. Naruto. I love you with all my heart. Yuki said, and she ran forward and engulfed both Tsume and Naruto in a hug. Just then there was a rustling behind the three, and Kiba and Hana came out. How long were you two there? Why couldn't I smell you? Tsume asked. We've been here since Yuki said that she was planning on getting you to marry Naruto. You can't smell us cause this entire field smells like. Hana said. Both Naruto and Tsume blushed. Kiba just tightened his hand into fist. Kiba stepped forward and slugged Naruto on the shoulder harder than he meant to. Naruto barely stumbled. Tsume moved forward and grabbed Kiba by the ear. What the hell was that? Tsume said. I didn't mean to hit him that hard. Besides, I punched him cause he had with my mother. My patterns are of no concern to you. Tsume replied. They are when they concern my best friend. Kiba said angrily. Shut it, pup. I had with him out of love, not the casual you were conceived from. Tsume said. Hana was the only one who noticed that both Yuki and Naruto snuck off. Next day, Naruto and Yuki woke up and left to their team meeting. Both of them pleased with themselves. Yuki was pleased that her best friend Tsume was also married to Naruto. Naruto was slightly more egotistic. He felt that if he could get two beauties like Yuki and Tsume, he could get anyone. That was quickly erased when he saw the looks of contempt coming from the villagers. The two arrived at the meeting place way before they were meant to. They opted to sit back and relax. A few minutes later, Shikamaru and Kurenai came. Then came Hana and Kiba. Kiba had a few bruises dusting his face. Kiba was without Akamaru. What happened to you, Kiba? Kurenai asked. Training accident. Kiba asked. Kurenai left it at that. Okay, you three. What would you three do if we asked you to retrieve two little bells from us? Hana asked. Shikamaru laughed. We would work together. As it's obvious the bells are meaningless, if they were you'd have actually had us retrieve bells, we can assume that the true meaning of this, Shikamaru said, is to see how well the three of us work together. Naruto said. Teamwork. Kiba summarized. Both Hana and Kurenai laughed. Kurenai stepped forward and cast a genjutsu on Kiba, rendering him useless, as he sighed contentedly. Naruto just sighed and overloading chakra into Kiba. Kiba looked back at Kurenai and growled. Now, no need to growl. Kurenai said. Kiba, don't make me mention to assume you were being rude to Kurenai. Hana said. Kiba stopped growling and looked down at the floor. Let's just get a mission. Hana said as she stepped forward to stand next to Naruto. She slipped a paper into his pocket. Naruto carefully reached in and read it. Dear Naruto, by now you probably have noticed Kiba's actions. You see, yesterday something's happened. It ended with him trying to take the clan head status from me forcefully. He lost. I removed his status as clan heir, and removed his privilege to use Akamaru. I ask you to be the one to decide when he can receive it again. With love, Sume. Naruto sighed. He made hand signs and sent a clone to Sume to retrieve Akamaru. When the team arrived at the Hokage's tower, Naruto's clone was there with Akamaru. Akamaru. Kiba yelled. Kiba, you need Akamaru to be of any use to us. Listen to me though. I love her, and I won't treat her harshly. Naruto said in his ear. I know. It's my mother, man. I know. It'll take you a while, but when you accept it, let me know. Naruto said. Yeah, sure. Kiba said and grabbed Akamaru. Akamaru licked Kiba's cheek and Kiba placed his head on Akamaru's. He whispered quietly, Akamaru, I won't let anyone take you from me. The team stepped into the office. Team 8 here for a mission. Hana said. It's good to see all of you. The Hokage said with a smile as he passed the scroll to Hana. The team left the gates without a word. Each of the ninja, in full work mode. Shikamaru's hands were in his pockets, but his eyes were attentive. Kurenai was walking while keeping an eye out. Both Hana and Kiba kept sniffing the air every now and then. Naruto was just quietly watching things around him. Kurenai sighed when she saw the puddle on the ground. Such a lame genjutsu. She thought and threw a kunai at it. The kunai landed, killing one of the demon brothers. The other brother jumped out and tried to run, but one of Hana's dogs caught him by the throat. The team continued on, finally getting on a boat. The boat led them through a thick fog. Finally nearby they could see the bridge. Wow. Kiba muttered. Amazing. Naruto mumbled. Tazuna just laughed at them. Old man, you building this? Kiba said. Yup. Tazuna said and took a swig of his drink. The team soon left the boat and continued onward. Suddenly a man appeared in front of them. The man had blood-red hair and eyes. On his left eye there was a scar that went down a bit but did not hit the eye. He wore black cargo pants, shinobi sandals, a red muscle shirt, a long coat, and on his hands were blood-red fingerless gloves. On his back was his zanbeitu, and on his waist was a katana. Well, you killed the idiot brothers. You know it's so hard to get good help these days. The man sighed. Team 8 grouped up to protect Tazuna. Kurenai and Hana stood closer to the enemy. But that's why I am here. Isn't it, sensei? The man said as Zabuza appeared next to him. Shut it, Akai. Just kill them. As you wish. The man said and charged. He appeared next to Hana, who blocked the punch he sent. Kurenai barely blocked the sweeping kick he threw at her. The man grabbed Hana's arm and lifted her and tossed her away. Her dogs attempted to run in but he dodged them. Kurenai tried to push his leg off, but his other leg came in and she was being held onto. Suddenly he bent backward and placed his hands on the floor. Kurenai was lifted upward and he tossed her at Hana. Zabuza ran in at the three genin. Shikamaru reached out with his shadow and caught Zabuza. As soon as Zabuza was caught, Kiba and Akamaru barreled into him. Zabuza turned to water and disappeared. Akai came in just as Akamaru was stopping his rotation. Akai grabbed Akamaru and slammed him into the ground. Akamaru yelped. Kiba charged him. Akai jumped and delivered a jumping axe kick to Kiba's back. Kiba collapsed and landed on Akamaru unconscious. Zabuza came in, swung his blade down at Naruto suddenly. Naruto dodged out of the way. While rolling out of the way, Naruto was doing hand signs. Akai charged at Shikamaru, who sent his shadow out. Akai dodged the shadow, reaching for him, knowing all about the Nara clan. Akai tried to roundhouse kick him, but Shikamaru bent back out of the way. Shikamaru tried to kick up at him, but Akai jumped backward. Hana came running in with her dogs, each of them rotated in the air and barreled towards Akai. Akai jumped back each time one neared him. As he was dodging, he was doing hand signs. Just as Akai landed in the water, Naruto called out his jutsu. Demon style. Hell's flame. Naruto said. From behind Naruto a small flame appeared. The flame floated and chased Zabuza. Zabuza laughed and dodged the small flame. As it passed him, the flame lashed out and made a small burn on Zabuza's back. Zabuza hissed in pain. Water style. Water bombs. Akai said, and little droplets of water appeared around him. One of the dogs collided with the droplets and it exploded, causing the dog to fall and land on the shore. The balls of water moved forward, aimed at Hana and Kurenai, who was doing hand signs. The balls of water caused Hana to negate her jutsu and dodge. Kurenai had to stop doing her hand signs as she was about to get hit. One of the balls was where Kurenai was going to land and she couldn't dodge in time. The water hit and exploded, causing Hana, who had substituted herself for Kurenai, to collapse bleeding. Zabuza had collapsed from the burns he received from Hell's flame. The flame was above him and was steadily growing as Naruto did more hand signs. Akai ran in and grabbed Zabuza just before the flame engulfed that area. He. We'll be back, Akai said and disappeared. No one had noticed the single droplet that hit Kiba. Hana, Kurenai said and ran to her. Kiba, Shikamaru called out, seeing the blood coming from Kiba. Come on, you two, let's get to Tazuna's, we can deal with their injuries there. Naruto said as he bent down to pick up Kiba. Naruto grabbed Kiba, one hand under his knees, the other under his shoulder. Shikamaru picked up and cradled the unconscious Akamaru. Kurenai picked up Hana, the same way Naruto picked up Kiba. The other two of the triplets supported the bleeding third. The team walked to Tazuna's. When they entered, they quickly found places to put the three injured. Naruto dressed Kiba's wounds. Kurenai dressed Hana's, and Shikamaru dressed the third triplet's wounds. When they were finished, the three moved out of the rooms and sat around and talked, mainly because they did not want to think about their three injured. We need to call for assistance, Shikamaru said. I agree. Those two are Junin level, and the boy tore us apart. Naruto said. I'll send a clone out right now, Kurenai said and made a single shadow clone. The clone was sent charging out, sprinting away from them and towards Konoha. It was already pitch black. Shikamaru yawned and left. Kurenai and Naruto sat out talking for a while, both comforting the other as their friend was injured. Yuki had long since fallen asleep. Neither of them noticed the small smile Yuki had as the two talked. It was late when the two finally went to bed. Naruto's dream. So Naruto, you hitting on Kurenai? Yuki said with a smile. No. Naruto said. Ah, that was a nervous stutter. You are. Yuki said. Fine. I am. Can you blame me? Nope. Besides, she was flirting back whether she realizes it yet or not. Besides, I'm fine with her joining. Yuki said. Have I told you recently you're the best? Naruto said. It couldn't hurt to say it more often. Yuki said with a giggle. End of dream. Naruto awoke early that morning, before the rest of his team was awake. Naruto wrote a quick note explaining to Kurenai that him and Yuki had gone training with Akai, Akiri Hunter Nin, and Zabuza. The three men sat at the table of their hideout. The stench of Zabuza's cigar flooding the room. The first man wore Kiri Hunter Nin clothing. The other was Akai, and the final one puffing on a cigar was Zabuza. So Akai, how were they? The Kiri Hunter Nin said. Take the damn thing off, Haku, before I punch it off of you. Akai shouted. Haku giggled as he removed the mask. Sorry Akai, it's just that the mask is like a second skin to me. They were okay. They need work, but I think they'll work just fine for our plan. Akai said. The brat with the fox is strong, he'll do nicely. Zabuza said. Back with Naruto and Yuki. The two had trained for a while. Yuki and Naruto had begun to train in Kenjutsu, to honor Yuki's mother who was the best swordsman of the Kitsune clan. The two hit one another with the wooden branches they fashioned to be their swords. They jumped away from one another as a scythe stuck itself in between where the two were engaged. On the hilt of the scythe stood a girl. She wore a black kimono, had near D cup. She had a slender face, one of her eyes here black, but the other was pure white. Her mouth was cocked upward into a grin. Her hair was split much like her eyes, one half black the other white. Upon seeing the girl, Yuki bent down to one knee and motioned Naruto to do the same. The scythe below her glowed and turned into a katana, that she sheathed and placed back on her waist. Yuki Kitsune, Naruto Uzumaki. It is good to see the two of you. The girl said. Her voice was gentle, but had an undertone of pure power. It is good to see you. Yuki said. I'm sorry to hear of your family, Yuki. I am proud that you stopped letting revenge take a hold of you. Otherwise you would be unworthy of this gift. The girl said as another blade appeared in her hand. She walked over to Yuki and placed the blade in front of her. The girl then turned to Naruto and smiled. You know Naruto, you should really thank Destiny. She's so nice to you. Damn girl rewrote mine, or wrote this in from long ago, but here I am to assist, both you and Yuki in using the style permitted by the Shinigami to her Kitsune generals. Her. Naruto said. Yes Naruto. Her. Myself in fact. Shinigami is here to kick your white into shape. You can call me Shini, for now. The girl said as she placed another blade in front of Naruto. Thank you. Naruto said. Don't be thanking me just yet, I'll be working you to the bone. Shinigami said. At the house right after Naruto and Yuki left, Kurenai awoke to the door closing. She sprung into action and ran downstairs, kunai drawn. She saw the note, and before she could read it a knock came on her door. She walked to it, kunai still in hand. When she opened it she saw the red-haired man standing there tied up and a chakra suppression seal on him. Now can we talk? Akai said. Kurenai smiled and pulled him in. She sat him down and held the kunai she had to his throat. Yes, let's talk. Kurenai said. Akai gulped. I didn't want to hurt those two too bad. We were just testing you to see if you could be of assistance to us. Akai said. Assistance? What do you need? Kurenai said. You see, Gato is holding Zabuza's wife hostage in return for his services. While Zabuza could just kill Gato and save her, Gato stole some of our blood and had an expert seal maker create a seal that when someone with the blood touches it, it causes an explosion. We killed the man who made it, but unfortunately Gato had the seals already, so we are in perpetual servitude to the man. So we were hoping Tazuna would get ninja, to help him. We even went as far as to make clones of Konoha soldiers to have a fake fight near here, while Tazuna watched. It caused Tazuna to call on you. What we want is with our assistance your team to enter Gato's mansion. We'll lead you to the prison cell his wife is in. He placed an observational seal nearby it so that we could see what happened to her. While your team grabs Zabuza's wife and escapes, Zabuza, Haku and myself will kill Gato. Then we ask you to take us to Konoha, we'll join you guys. Why would you want to join us? You left your village out of choice. Kurenai said, placing the kunai back in her pouch. We left, because we were sickened by the way Yagura treated bloodline users. Haku has a bloodline, Zabuza and myself found him barely alive. It was hard to see the young boy, barely a year younger than myself, so starved. While we cannot take down Yagura, all we care about is Haku's safety. Please, help us, Akai said and bowed deeply to Kurenai. Fine. We sent out word for another team to come assist us. We asked for a team of Junin, so they can assist us in this. We'll place our genin to protect Tazuna, while Arjunan along with you and Zabuza invade Getu's mansion. You keep Haku here with our genin. Kurenai said. Okay. I'll send a message to Zabuza and Haku of your acceptance. Akai said. Kurenai made a clone. Tell me, where do you guys hide out? Kurenai clone said as it transformed into Akai. By the bridge, there's a big tree, we hollowed out a spot underneath it. The only way to enter is to smear your blood on it. Akai said. Kurenai's clone made a small cut on Akai and waited till her hand was covered in his blood before she disappeared. Soon after she left, there was another knock on the door. Kurenai opened it and was met with Anko, Genma, and finally Yamato. Kurenai let them as she quickly explained the situation. How many men are we talking? Yamato said. Getu has about 600 thugs in his group, there are few weak ninja, but Zabuza, Haku, and myself are his strongest. All in all, we should have no problems. Akai said as he stood to leave. We'll meet you tonight at the bridge. Kurenai said. Time skip. The team and the 3 Junin were enjoying a dinner. Kiba was wincing as it hurt him to eat, as was Hana. Suddenly the boy shouted out. Why are you even trying? The boy said. Inari. Tazuna said. They are just going to die. No one can fit against Getu. You're wrong, kid. We can. Anko said. What do you know? You are no hero. There are no such things as heroes. Inari said. If that's what you believe. I believe each of can be a hero, we just need to know how. Naruto said. You wouldn't believe that if you have gone through what I have. The room dropped a few hundred degrees as both Anko and Naruto spoke in unison. You think you've had it so hard? What do you know about suffering? They looked at one another, grinned, and Anko continued. They both made the decision to overload the boy. You weren't tossed away by both your parents and then finally trusting one man followed blindly alongside him. He didn't throw you away and cause you to be the enemy of the village, even if you didn't do anything. Anko said. You're so caught up in the minor losses you have suffered, that you don't realize 2 people in here suffered more than you. You don't suffer physical blows every night and day. You didn't have a man cut your torso to pieces for fun. You didn't have a bastard of a ninja stab you in the stomach with his bare hand as electricity circled around it. Naruto said as he removed his coat, allowing his scars to be shown. Wait, a ninja stabbed you in the stomach with a hand with electricity. Did it sound like chirping birds? Anko said. Yes. Naruto said. Oh. He's going to pay. Anko snarled. The meal finished immediately after the Junin went to kill the men in Getu's mansion. The day after the bridge finished. Team 8, the 3 Junin, and the new recruits walked quietly back to the village. Well, most were quiet. Anko, Kurenai and Naruto had a conversation the whole way back. Much of the time Naruto or Anko was making odd faces at one another. Little did they know of what was to come when they arrived back home. The only one of these that does not require a gesture from the blade itself is Yuki's. Hers are all genjutsu based for the most part, those 3 at least. Again, this is similar to Bleach, but there is no call for the changing of the form, it is whatever the wielder wishes it to be, as long as it's a form the sword is capable of. The abilities are something the blade teaches the wielder. None of them have major areas of effect, so it's not like they can level towns with one move. The biggest size would be a street. There are other restrictions, but those will be explained later on in the story. Shinigami has 2 swords. Things will be explained later when the 2 go for training. Yuki's abilities. Fukuju causes the ones who are caught in this to believe her to be their leader, and to follow her bidding. Anata no Basho Shidiru causes the ones caught to bow to her till she releases it. This allows her to cut them down. Seppuku causes them to commit suicide. Naruto's abilities. Moru causes a line of fire to come out of the blade burning the enemies. Katsu causes an invisible streak of sharp wind to come out and cut the enemies in half. Shosutsu Suru allows Naruto to disappear even from the Byakugan. Yuki's first blade abilities. Tenchu, a single strike from the sword will cause the person to feel pain even if the blade didn't touch their body. Tenchusha Yuki creates a square with her blade and any enemy that walks through it is caught in it. Once she makes an X, the enemies will stop as they will see a little board in front of them that says guilty, not guilty. The words will fade in and out at fast speeds. If lands on guilty, they die. If lands on not guilty, they are uninjured. Kuno Yuki points her sword forward and a single enemy's body will begin to get small cuts on them. On the trip back, Naruto and Yuki learned Shinigami's really name, and I'll be using it for whenever they are alone talking, and for when I'm saying she did or said something. Her name will be used more once she enters the harem. I hope you enjoy Kakashi's punishment. I thought it was very much fitting, if not a little overboard, but whatever. Don't worry if you like Kakashi, the bashing will soon stop and he'll actually be a good guy. Chapter 10 Dog's Comeuppance and Naruto Explodes. The group entered the village. After making a quick stop at the guards, they continued onward to the Hokage's tower. Upon entering the tower, the group rushed to the Hokage's office and began to give the mission report. Let me get this straight. You four, Zabuza's wife as there she'll be described at a later time, wish to join Konoha. Also you three were enslaved by Getu, and that while you are considered missing, the truth of the fact is that it's not official. The Hokage said. That is correct. Zabuza said. Akai was desperately trying not to respond, and was surely losing that battle. There was the sound of the door opening, and one cycloptic Junin came in. Anko turned to him angrily and punched him. What was that about? Kakashi yelled. You used Chidori on Naruto. You fool. Anko said as she pulled kunai out. Kakashi dodged the thrown kunai and jumped out of the office. Anko chased him. Anbu. The Hokage called. Several Anbu appeared around the windows and the doors. Go hunt down Kakashi, and Anko. Stop Anko from killing Kakashi, and apprehend Kakashi and send him to Ibiki. The Hokage said. The Anbu jumped away and gave chase. Gigi. I understand that the position of these four are not exactly the best, but I have placed them under the protection of my clan, and I am not above leaving this village to ensure their protection. Naruto said. No, Naruto. I can't have you throw your career away for us. Zabuza's wife spoke out. Zabuza's wife was gentle looking. Soft cheeks, soft burgundy eyes, and short-cut burgundy hair. She wore a kimono that was also red. The kimono barely hugged her body, making much of her form unseen. This is my choice. I choose to offer you my protection, and if we have to go somewhere else to get that protection, then so be it. Naruto said, his eyes never leaving the Hokage's. Naruto. You have to understand, the Hokage began, but there was a crash and a black and white-haired girl was sitting in the now broken window. Lady Shinny. Yuki and Naruto called. Hi you two. Miyuki said. To what do we owe the honor? Zabuza said, bowing to her. They had met Miyuki, who introduced herself as Lady Shinny, the master of Kitsune. Just paying a visit to my two favorite Kitsune. They all know as they saw Yuki turn into her human form when they were training one day. Who are? The Hokage said. I'm surprised you don't know me, Hokage. As I am coming for you very soon. Think carefully, Hokage. I am the one the Kitsune serve, and what is it Kitsune are known to do? They are said to bring souls to the Shinigami, who then sends them off to where they are to go. The Hokage said, having spent time looking up legends of Kitsune since the Kyuubi attacked. So then who am I? If you are the master of Kitsune, you are either Inari or Shinigami. Ah, there's the thing. Many people think Inari is the god of Kitsune. No, she's the god of death, in one of her forms. Shinigami and Inari are similar. So you're the Shinigami. That is correct. I am here to say that if Naruto and Yuki leave this village, you'll not receive the protection of the heavens. This village will be destroyed. Miyuki said, putting her finger on Naruto's head. Shinigami style. Enter the fox. Miyuki said, and Naruto's body exploded outward, and where he was standing, two foxes stood. One white, the other yellow. The blood from Naruto sprayed outward, drenching Kurenai, Hana, Akai, Zabuza, Haku, and Shikamaru in his blood. The blood did not touch Miyuki, or the two foxes. Lady Shinny. Did you have to force it right now? Yuki said as the yellow fox collapsed. Yes, I did. Miyuki said, picking up the small yellow fox. What the hell did you do? Kiba yelled. Miyuki turned to Kiba with a smile. I forced him into being a full kitsune. He was a Hanyu till just now. Now he's not human but instead he is kitsune. Unfortunately anyone with a mate mark from him will also be forced into this form. Mom. Both Kiba and Hana whispered. With Sume. Sume was not having a good day. First Kuromura got sick, so he was unable to be with her and talk. Second Kakashi came running in through her house avoiding Anko. Then Anko tells Sume what he did to Naruto. Then she chased Kakashi. They finally got him with a kunai cutting his Achilles heel. As she was going in to torture Kakashi she suddenly felt weird. Then she exploded. Now she was a damn black fox, and she felt weak. She smelt the Anbu nearing and tried to tell Anko, but she passed out. Back with Miyuki and the rest. Say hello to Naruto, the new kitsune. Miyuki said holding the blonde fox. Troublesome. Shikamaru said. Now then Hokage. Where is the Kokunin guardian Naruto's choice of clan name compound? Miyuki said putting her hand on Haku. Yuki had climbed up Miyuki's body and sat on her head. Haku please hold Akai. Akai hold Zabuza. Zabuza, hold your wife. Miyuki continued. They did as she was told. It is next to the Inuzuka compound. About 20 miles to the south. The Hokage said. Suddenly all of the forms turned into skeletons, the skeletons then turned to dust. Okay. That was cool. Kiba said. If there is nothing more Hokage, we need to go hunt down Sume. Kurenai said. With Kakashi. Kakashi was bound and gagged. He was dragged to Ibiki who just smiled. Tisk. Kakashi. We have a special present for you. Ibiki said as Inoichi came in. You see Kakashi. I've stolen memories from people who have felt your Chidori and lived. Inoichi said. And Inoichi here is going to force those memories into you. Ibiki continued as Inoichi began hand signs. You will relive each of those moments. With all the pain associated with it. There are around 200 memories in this. Yamanaka style. Memory implantation. Inoichi said. Soon after Kakashi began to thrash around against the ropes and he tried to scream. His eyes bulged out, and he broke out into a cold sweat. That was only one. Ibiki said.